hypocrites, which I...
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I prophet to the lead of this minister and the prophet.
Give us access to our money we put in charge.
As always said, there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I...
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I prophet to the lead of this minister and the prophet.
Give us access to our money we put in charge.
As always said, there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I...
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I prophet to the lead of this minister and the prophet.
Give us access to our money we put in charge.
As always said, there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I...
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I prophet to the lead of this minister and the prophet.
Give us access to our money we put in charge.
Good morning and welcome to Open Conversation on Atlantic Television Network. Open Conversation is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actors to explore hope and engender positive impact to the society. Today on Open Conversation, we look at these stories. First, Rivers crisis. I'm still in charge, Fubara says. And then on New Year's speech, Tinubu urges Nigerians to ignore political regional distractions. Still on presidential speech, no hope in sight for Nigerians, PDP says. And on 2025, article urges Nigerians to monitor actions and decisions of political leaders. And then, on to governance. Obi condemns exclusion of North Central from regional commission budget. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I prophet to the lead of this minister and the prophet.
Give us access to our money we put in charge.
As always said, there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I...
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the
Give us access to our money in charge.
I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are? Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the
Give us access to our money in charge.
I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are? Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the
Give us access to our money in charge.
I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are? Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the
Give us access to our money in charge.
I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is George Azunda Chinda. George is a regular on Open Conversation and he's a political analyst. Good morning, George, and welcome.
Good morning, Aransha.
Compliments of the season.
I wish you the same.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you, dear.
Good to see you, George. Good to see you in 2025.
I'm quite happy to be here today.
And I hope you enjoyed your Christmas season?
Obviously, as you can see, I'm beaming with smiles.
Yes. I hope you don't frown during the course of this show, though. And on to the story. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara on Wednesday declared that he remained in charge of the state affairs, saying his enemies and those of the state will continue to crash. Fubara, who has been in the eye of the storm since October 2023, when he fell out with his predecessor and the political godfather, Nyesom Wike, said his faith remained in God amid the raging political battle. He spoke at the crossover into 2025 church service held at St. Paul's Anglican Church, Opopo Down, in the Opobo Nkoro local government area in the early moments of January 1. He said, "The red biro is still filled. It is here with me. Every plan of the enemy will continue to crash." George, what do you make of this story in view of everything that is going on in River State?
Thank you very much. First thing first, let me say that it is very wrong for the governor to say he's still in charge. The question one we want to ask is, who has been in charge since 2023 when he took over the reins of government of River State? Was he trying to tell us that he was not in charge? So for me, that statement does not make any meaning.
But he didn't say, "I am in charge." He said, "I am still in charge," meaning that he has always been in charge.
No. He has always been. When he said he's still in charge, well, for me, what I understand is that issues at some point made him not to be in charge. That's my understanding.
Okay.
That's my understanding of what he's trying to say. Because crisis came up at some point that would have led to his impeachment due to some, issues that ordinarily should not have happened. He, as a governor, did not act well in some areas. He went outside the law to act and all of that. So the assembly called for his impeachment. Somehow there was resolution. But beyond that, the issue escalated. So when he said he's still in charge, for me, it shows that at some point he was not in charge. So after the crisis that rocked the state, that was when he began to, take
charge.
Yeah, began to be in charge of the affairs of the state. For me, it's a wrong statement because he has been the governor since 2023. The issue is simple. Let the governor of River State act in accordance with the provisions of the law. I don't understand who he's calling the enemy of state. Enemy of what state? When someone who is doing wrong feels that he's not doing wrong, and those who are trying to call him to order, he now sees them as the enemy. For me, it doesn't make any meaning. Nobody ordinarily will want to be an enemy of the state. A state where you live in, this is politics. And in politics, it entails, people angling for one or two. So in the course of angling, provided they are doing it within the ambit of the law, there's nothing wrong with that. He has refused, to work with the constituted assembly for a very long time now. And for him, he sees that as the right thing. And those assembly members, he now sees them as the enemies of the state. And people will sit there to clap over this. Nobody will tell him, Your Excellency, this is not the democracy we preached for. This is not the democracy we called for. We are not running a government, that is based on rule of might, where one man has all the powers and because of that, to his whims and caprices, he decides what happens. No, we have laws. We have laws that guide the operations of, government in a democratic setting. And the assembly, which is the legislature, is one of those arms of government, that has powers to make laws, and they also have oversight functions on the executive arm of the government. The governor of River State has refused, to work with them. I don't want to use the word recognize because it is not in his powers to recognize or de-recognize.
But he said he has de-recognized them.
That's what I'm saying. That is part of the lagging statement he's making. It is not in his powers to recognize or de-recognize anybody. Elected, duly elected, the same way he was elected. This guy, you can only de-recognize someone you appointed. You have the powers to appoint fire and hire and fire. If the person does not meet the standard that you expect of him, you can fire, but not an elected person. There are procedures of recalling an elected person through the constituent members of that constituency, people can recall their members. Not you as a God who was elected the same way these other people were elected, we recognize or de-recognize. The only place he has power is to proclaim the assembly that was given to him by the constitution. Huh?
To inaugurate.
That is the proclamation.
Okay.
You understand? To proclaim them immediately after he was sworn in as the governor. 2 or 3 days after, you proclaim, giving them that status as, assembly members. After that, you do not have any such power over them again. You don't have such powers. But where they come together to work, you as the governor, you can have harmonious relationship with the assembly. You send some executive bills, they will expedite actions and ensuring that it becomes a law and things like that. Those things can work, through lobbying. It's part of democracy. You understand? But not when you as a governor say you have to recognize them based on one or no, you don't have such powers. You cannot be executive and be judicial at the same time.
But so far, the governor, one would say he has actually shown to a large extent that he's in charge, because from the time he said he has recognized the Martins Amehule-led River State House of Assembly, he has gone ahead to act with, Edison here, then Okojombo. He has been working with them even up until date. You recall that on 31st of December 2024, he presented the budget to the Okojombo-led faction. What do you have to say to that?
I think this whole thing the challenge lies with the judiciary. The judiciary have only backed, but they have not beaten,
What can the judiciary do?
No. What I'm saying is that you give a judgment and you allow your judgment to be flouted by the executive arm.
Allow the judgment?
Yeah, they allow it.
Is it the judiciary that will implement that judgment? The
implementation of the judgment will have to come with the executive. Now, this is a case that is against the executive who does not want to allow. I think the judiciary should go further. They should go further to make some kind of proclamation.
Like what?
That will force. They should know. I think there is something they can invoke. I'm not a lawyer to understand, but I believe that the judiciary have something to invoke when their laws are not obeyed. When their decisions, the judgment they give are not obeyed. I think there is something they can invoke.
The governor has immunity, you know that.
No, not against the governor per se.
How do you enforce judgment on a governor?
My dear, the judiciary, are you saying that because there is no way to enforce this judgment, therefore judiciary is just a lame duck? They just can make a judgment and it will not be effective?
Is it in the position of the judiciary to implement?
No, implementation has to do with executive. Implementation of laws, policies has to do with executive. Now, this is a judgment against the same executive that should implement, and they have refused to implement that. I think, there was a time in this country, so let me just deviate a bit, when the country came into a kind of quagmire following the death of late President Yar'Adua. Due to some sinister moves here and there by the powers that be at the time, they refused to hand over power to his then vice, who, as at that time, was Goodluck Jonathan. For whatever reason, it was the National Assembly. The National Assembly, sat and invoked the doctrine of necessity. Even though the man did not transmit power to his vice before he went on that, trip, that he did not come back, the National Assembly looked at the provisions of the Constitution and knew that if we don't do this, we'll run into a conundrum. What did they do? They invoked, there is a provision somewhere, one way or the other. I may not have, but I know there is something that can be done. They invoked that doctrine of necessity to ensure that Jonathan became the vice. So in this case, where, judiciary has given their judgment against an executive who has refused to implement that judgment, maybe the federal government, through the Attorney General, yes, the governor has immunity.
The federal government, through the Attorney General, will do what exactly?
To implement some of these things, you call the police. You cannot imagine where they issue a warrant of arrest on the purported speaker that is being paraded as a speaker. Would he be there to sit to receive the budget? I mean, we cannot continue this way.
So now, okay, you're looking at probably, if I may understand what you're saying now, at the end of the day, you're talking of issuing an arrest, you know, for the to arrest the purported speaker. Yes. Now, that still boils down to the legislative arm. But we are talking about disobedience to court order or court judgment by the executive who is enjoying immunity. You know, you are blaming the judiciary that the executive is not obeying orders of the courts or judgment of the courts. And I'm asking you, what else do you want the judiciary to do? They have done their parts, they have done their bit. It is now left for, you know, the persons involved to obey court orders or court judgments. And in a situation where the person does not, in this instance, you know, the governor of Rivers State, and he is enjoying immunity, what would you have the judiciary do? At the end of the day, you are now saying through the attorney, there could be a warrant of arrest issued, you know, for the arrest of the purported speaker.
Laurentia, what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to say, the governor has immunity against arrest. The speaker, the purported speaker, does not have immunity against arrest. Now, the governor couldn't have presented the budget to himself, pass it, the appropriation bill, pass it into law by himself. He needed the assembly, in line with the provisions of the constitution, to make that a law. So because there were persons who have accepted to play along, I'm talking about the purported speaker and the other two, who have agreed to play along, making the governor feel that he has everything going for him. Imagine where these persons who have refused, if the judiciary has given some kind of, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, I may not really understand the right word, but if they have given some kind of order, arresting the man who has been, you know, claiming to be, who have been impersonating the position of the speakership.
The judiciary cannot grant what you did not. The court cannot grant you what you did not pray for it to grant you.
I agree. Now, these are some. You see, the judgment they have given over time, the executive arm of government, especially in the case of Rivers State, has refused to abide by it. Yes, I agree that the judiciary or the judge cannot give you what you did not pray for. But it's a slight on them at this point that their pronouncement. What that means is that nobody regards them as part of the government. Because whatever their judgment should be weighty, should be law. Because it's interpretation of the law. But unfortunately, there's an arm that seems to be bigger. Keep relegating them. Then I think something should be done. Like I said, I may not have the right word to say, but I know that judiciary can go to an extent to invoke certain things to...
Probably this falls back to, I think probably you should be looking at the legislature. You know, it is the job of the legislature has oversight functions on the executive as well.
Impeachment is one of those. Impeachment is one of those things to correct the anomalies. I agree with you. But for now...
not mention impeachment.
No. It's one of those oversight functions that the legislature have. It's a tool. Impeachment is a tool on the hands of the legislature, you know, to ensure checks and balance. You might say it's an extreme, but you can see that the governor is going extremely, you know, to secure his own part as against what the provisions of the law, you know, is. So if it means, you know, if it requires going to that extreme, there's no problem about that. But the challenge here now is, you know, the court process is still on, you know. The finality of the matter has not been heard because this paper has gone to Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter on the matter. If that decision was reached, as the decision of the court was reached by the Supreme Court, I am quite certain that by now the governor wouldn't be speaking this way. You know, things would have changed. But because the matter is still in court, so he still believes that he can get judgment from the court. That's why he's acting this way. So for now, I will not blame the judiciary more because, you know, the matter has not gotten to the final stage. Let's wait until appeal court gives their final verdict on the matter.
If
Then
appeal
we'll now
court or
know.
Supreme Court?
Huh?
Supreme Court.
Sorry. Let's wait for Supreme Court to give their final verdict on this matter. We'll now know whether he's as strong as he claims to be. Refuses to abide by the judgment of the court.
Okay. Now, now that things are at this point where it is in Rivers State, and with both parties or the warring factions not backing down, not inching at this point, do you, with everything, I was to a large extent, I was hoping that, yes, I was expecting that 2025 in Rivers State will be a very interesting time. It will be a very interesting year, but I was not expecting that it will start this early. It will start from in fact, from 31st. When I saw that move, I was like, okay, so no rebate at all, in this political crisis in Rivers State. Now, how do you see this playing out? I'm looking at the implications of this move by the governor, considering that there have been judgments of the lower courts, of the high court, and judgment of the appeal court affirming Martin Samehule. And as it stands, there is no judgment that has set aside the speakership of Martin Samehule, and there is no judgments that have declared their seats vacant and called for INEC to conduct an election. And by that judgment, the governor is mandated to, govern with this House of Assembly. What is the implication of this move by the governor presenting the 2025 budget to the same House of Assembly that appropriated the other 2024 budget that is still under litigation?
The lifeline that the governor has is that the matter is still pending at the Supreme Court, where any decision reached there will be final. This problem have come to a height where it's a win-win, it's a winner-takes-all situation. So nobody wants to back down. Okay. Like you said earlier, the governor will feel...
When you say winner takes it all, what do you mean?
It's two warring factions, all going for the jugular. All going for the prime, all going for that seat, going for one thing, which is the most important thing. Now, the thing, ordinarily, before now, there was some kind of discussion to resolve the matter amicably so that everybody will work, in harmony and enjoy whatever that comes from it. But unfortunately, one part reneged on the agreement. So that has lingered, that has continued to linger the problem till date. So the point we have reached now is the point of no return, where winner takes it all. If those with the governor wins the battle at the Supreme Court, they take over the reins of government completely, the structure of government. And if those in support of the minister, Martin Samehule and all of that, decide if they win the matter, those on the other side will lose completely. At the point we are now, there is no longer room for reconciliation. That's exactly what I meant by that.
Okay.
So the governor is acting the way he's acting because the matter is still pending before the Supreme Court. He has gone to the Supreme Court. But isn't that
the more reason why the governor should be circumspect?
That's what I'm telling you, that, as a man...
So that would now, pray the question. What exactly is going on? Where is the confidence coming from?
No, I wouldn't know. Anything is just possible in Nigeria. But backing down at this point would be like a kind of crestfallen for his supporters. If he backs down at this point, both him and the supporter will be seen as weak people. That's why at that early stage...
So this is ego at play.
You cannot take ego away in politics.
As against the rule of law?
For now, he still has a lifeline, which is, the Supreme Court. He still believes that he can win.
Okay.
Based on, the advice he has gotten from both lawyers and non-lawyers, from his own common sense also, as someone who is educated, he would have checked one or two in line with the books to say, okay, we still stand a chance of winning. Based on that, he continues to act. And, non-presentation of budget as at when due is also an impeachable offense. So because he has refused to recognize working with the constituted assembly led by Martin Samehule, instead of not being here nor there, he decided to go let the illegality continue until Supreme Court, give their verdict If it is in our favor, we'll continue. If it is not in our favor, let the worst case happen. That's at this point, that is where we are. Ordinarily, based on that law, the judgment of appeal courts, some persons would have said, okay, this fight is as good as over. Let me see how I can reconcile with these people so that we can work together. But frankly speaking, the problem have reached a level where it has surpassed reconciliation. Reconciliation is no longer feasible. This thing is becoming like the war between the Jews and the Palestine. That is Israel and Palestinian war. That is the oldest unresolved conflict in the world.
At this point, are we not driving to anarchy in River State?
The only people who will save the situation is the Supreme Court. And they need to act as quick as possible because there is a limit. There's a limit to how one can, withstand some of these issues. So the Supreme Court need to give a judgment. Let's know if it is here or there. Let them give their judgment so that everybody will fall in line.
Whichever way this judgment goes, do you see breakdown? Because my concern at this point is the way everything is going. If one is following certain things and certain moves, one may think, okay, probably some things are being aligned and realigned. The question would be, do you see possible breakdown of law and order? Because that has, in fact, at the forefront of my worries, this is the major thing. Loss of life. It appears that River State is like a keg of gunpowder. And if care is not taking it, might explode. I will not be
doing myself good by sitting here to say in all confidence that there will not be breakdown of law and order. I will not also say there will be. But what I'm certain is that the government has the instrumentality of force to quell any breakdown of law and order.
Okay.
Some persons may want to cause problem, like it's normal for those who the judgment will go against, may want to foment one or two trouble. But I'm quite certain that the government at the national level has the instrumentality of force. When I mean force to quell any form of insurrection that will come as a result of someone saying that the judgment did not favor me. No, nobody will do. We are not in a banana republic. We are still running a government that has all what it takes to maintain law and order in our nation. So if the judgment goes either way, those that want to foment trouble will definitely hear from the federal government of Nigeria.
And at that point, wouldn't there be allegations of the federal government backing the FCT?
It doesn't matter. The most important thing is that as long as the Supreme Court has given a judgment, it doesn't matter who the judgment favors.
No, you don't know.
Allegations, people will keep allegating.
Hold on. We are now looking at, because this thing will now drag back to the Presidential Peace Pact, where there were reservations around, what was in the Peace Pact, the 8 points in the Peace Pact. And there were concerns that it did not favor the governor. And it favored more of the camp of the FCT minister. Now, if what you're saying happens, people will now say to a large extent, I am concerned that there might be allegations that, okay, the federal government at this point in time is trying to protect the FCT minister and his camp. Don't you see that playing out as well?
That will hold no water. Somebody can sit wherever and level allegations against anybody. Is it in line with... We have laws governing here. This is not a state of nature where anybody can just act anyhow. We all have surrendered our powers to the government. All of us surrendered our powers to the government. So the government have made laws. Through different arms, they have made laws that everybody should abide by. So if the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, who knows exactly what the letter and spirit of the Constitution, decide to give their judgment, it doesn't matter which camp it favors. The government at the national level we have no other way than to protect the sanctity of our laws.
Right.
So it doesn't matter who levels allegation that the federal government want to... the same federal government, are they not seeing what is happening, that someone somewhere, because he has immunity, is going against all the judgments so far? Why have they not acted? Because the matter is still pending in the court. And anything you do now will be sub judice. So they are just waiting for the final arbiter to give their judgment, and they will act.
Right. Very well. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll look at President Tinubu's New Year speech. Do not go away.
Are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the ask.
What Nigerians need is not about the economy. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they want.
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN closed it all on ATN Politics today.
front lines across the ocean to the land.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the government.
Give us access to our money.
I've always said there are two sides of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the government.
Give us access to our money.
I've always said there are two sides of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the government.
Give us access to our money.
I've always said there are two sides of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the government.
Give us access to our money.
I've always said there are two sides of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To condemn this act, I thought that critical belief of this minister and the government.
Give us access to our money.
I've always said there are two sides of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the government. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what
I have fought a very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To condemn this act, I proper critical to lead of this minister and the president.
The people have access to our money we put in the bank. I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu in his New Year message on Wednesday emphasized the need to repel distractions by a tiny segment of Nigerian population that still sees things through the prisms of politics, ethnicity, religion, and region. The statement partly reads, on a personal note, thank you for placing your confidence in me as your president. Your trust humbles me, and I promise to continue serving you diligently and wholeheartedly. We will continue to embark on necessary reforms to foster sustainable growth and prosperity for our nation. I seek your cooperation and collaboration at all times as we pursue our goal of a $1 trillion economy. Let us stay focused and united. We are on the right path to building a great Nigeria that will work for everyone. Let us not get distracted by a tiny segment of our population that still sees things through the prisms of politics, ethnicity, religion, and region. To achieve our national goals and objectives, we must become better citizens and uncompromising in our devotion and allegiance to Nigeria. What is your take to this segment of Tinubu's New Year speech?
Well, that's a New Year message to Nigerians. I call it a message of hope. The president, as far as I understand and I know, is someone who is working assiduously to repositioning, the country to the right path of prosperity, development and growth. The decay in Nigeria before now is so high that it will take a lot of hard work to put Nigeria, which the man is doing. We understand the challenge that Nigerians are facing when it comes to the removal of fuel subsidy, which affected virtually everything, including the cost of food. Basic things that household needs, we are affected in terms of price. And the unfortunate thing is that there was no commensurate pay, to cushion the effect of that. But the president is working so hard. This is not a case of giving him praises, but we are seeing the indices, in as much as things are a bit tough, but we believe that with time, those things will normalize, The man is working as you can see from the look of things. What are the
indices that you're talking about?
If you look at the economy today, we're a bit improving from where he took over. When he took over and the removal of fuel subsidy.
What are the areas of improvement?
Today, even the fuel that we use, that is central to everything, even though the price is a bit higher from what the last government left it at, but you see that
a bit higher.
Yes, a bit higher. Yes, a bit higher.
What's the margin?
A bit higher. That's not the question now. We are talking about it's higher than what it was.
A lot higher, George.
No, you will say a lot higher, in comparison to other places. We know is affecting everything we are doing in this country, no doubt. But one thing that there is availability of this product at all times. Another thing is that the price has for a while now remained a bit stagnant, not going up. We are in festive period, in time past by now. One, you wouldn't have been seeing it in the filling stations, and the price would have been so high that everybody would be groaning. But that is a positive on its own. I believe the government the NNPC is working. Just recently, I saw that the Warri refinery has come on stream. Gradually we'll get there. Just take a cue from the GSM when it first came out. It was tough for most families to get a phone and a line. But today, with as little as 100 naira, you can get an airtime. You can get phones, you can get line and all that. That is where we are heading. We might not get up to that level, but we'll get to a point where, like if you listen to the president, he talked about, in one of those, his statements, he talked about giving credit to farmers and things like that. He understands that the issue of food is a major problem in Nigeria. There is need for food, security. So farmers will be given credit to, improve on their production, so that the prices of food will come down. If we have those basic things put in place, I'm sure that Nigerians will be happy for it. Will be happier for it, rather. Because when the basic things that every household need is lacking, that is where it becomes excruciating for the family. But if the basic things such as food, transportations come down to the level where almost all the households can afford it, you will see improvement happening. The Nigeria of today you know, is a bit different from Nigeria of yesterday, know that. But let us not just completely blame. This is not a case of me trying to defend the president now. I'm being realistic about what I'm saying. We cannot completely place the blame on the president when the country itself, prior to this time, was being run aground. So the man is working to ensure. One of the things he has done is this local government autonomy. You know, the removal of fuel subsidy also helped in one way or the other. You know, the money that emanated therefrom was also shared. Yeah, the money that that was being used to subsidize fuel now goes back to the government, which now the three tiers of government shares this money. I'm coming.
You really want us to have that conversation?
No, listen.
Go ahead.
Listen, if it's not left for those who man this position to utilize, I'm talking about this money was not taken away completely. Ordinarily, what if this man had shifted this money to an account where it cannot be accounted for? We'll all be blaming him. This money was given to the three tiers of government to also further development of their areas. When we talk about government, the government is not just about federal government. The sub-national government also have a role to play in ensuring development. The local government, the grassroots level also have their roles to play. Everybody has their roles to play. Let there be accountability. Those who were elected, the way the democracy is being run, will have provisions for checks and balances. Unfortunately, those who are saddled with the responsibility of doing this are the ones not doing it. That is the unfortunate situation. So the president is working to ensure that we get it to, we get a better life rather. He might not have achieved it all. He might not even achieve it all before he leaves that position. But there are conscious moves to ensure that these things happen.
All right. I asked you about the indices, and you talked about NNPC opening the Warri refinery and the recent Port Harcourt refinery that also sections of them. No, Dangote is a private investment.
It doesn't matter. It still has
it
a
matters.
way. No,
Hold on. Dangote is a private investment that almost went awry. Because of the politics that was playing around that investment. That's on one hand. I am talking about, so far, you have applauded the president and you say he's doing well, and to a large extent, just like Ababio said, he inherited a country that is almost comatose and all that. Now, and you also said things are getting better, and that the difficulty is is slightly higher. Let's look at this slightly, because I think that's where, clinched my interest. Prior to this time, fuel was not up to 300 naira a litre. Fuel now, I buy fuel for 1,080 naira. That's what I buy fuel. Now, that is like, when you say slightly would be probably if it's 100 naira higher from what he inherited. We are talking of increments over time that spanned over 1,000 naira. Fuel sold as high as 1,500. And, thankfully, it has reduced to where it is right now. Where it is,
which is a plus.
Hold on, it is still not a plus.
Go ahead.
Hold on, it is still not a plus, because where it is right now does not in any way make life easier for Nigerians. Let's do comparative analysis of what you have done and what is obtainable. Let's look at power, for example. There were hikes in between between 2023 and now, and 2024 December. Power was hiked up to 2 or 3 times. And then, with the hike came promise of a more stable power supply. Meanwhile, those hikes were not constitutionally followed, because there are constitutional provisions for the Ministry of Power to increase power, the tariffs to increase. It is well stated in our constitutional provision. Adelabu broke the constitution because he did not, you know, follow what there was supposed to be a public meeting, a town hall meeting. The people who were consuming this, the consumers of this power were supposed to have a say. Nigerians, did they have a say? Even when these hikes were imposed, Nigerians kicked against it, but Adelabu went ahead. And then after that, national grid in a space of how many months collapsed how many times exactly? Now, you see, it would have been bearable, the power situation and the subsidy removal situation would have been bearable to a large extent if the power sector was working. So now, I could say, okay, I can understand the increments in tariff considering what the discos are saying and the cost of generating, you know, this power and all that. I could understand that. But now, there'll be less reliance on PMS, which means instead of pumping money into the PMS, we'll now put money into buying tariffs, buying more units for lights. Now, Nigerians pay higher in power, in tariffs, and even at that, right now we don't even have epileptic power supply. You know, prior to this time we were thinking, oh, we have epileptic. Now we don't even have power. That, in my head, does not even exist anymore. So now we are solely dependent on PMS to generate power for ourselves. And that PMS is not affordable. Small, medium enterprises are groaning. Small, medium enterprises are crying because in addition to the high cost of generating power for yourself, you're looking at multiple taxation, which the government has not done anything about, by the way. And then from there, you move on to dollar volatility. Up until now, it's not stable. Even foreign companies, please go and do your maths, have closed down. A lot of them have relocated to other countries as well. The federal government is borrowing after borrowing. I mean, there is barely a week that I don't hear a story about borrowing. I am now worried. No, hold on.
Let me respond to some of this. What if I forget some?
You will not. I will remind you. Hold on. Because I allowed you to have your say. So hold on. I am a Nigerian and I am living the Nigerian reality. I am living the Nigerian reality. This is a situation where prior to this time, let me even come from the angle of women who are mothers, who have responsibilities to take care of their homes. Probably nobody is voicing out the frustration of women in this country. Because women, the only way you could actually even plan around your family is by stock buying. So you stock up with the little you have, considering how high things are. Then when you stock up, no, hold on, please. When you, no, this is important. When you stock up, and at the end of the day, there is no light to sustain whatever it is you have bought and put in your freezer, you are now forced to buy at least minimum of 10,000 naira worth of fuel every day in order to make sure you preserve those things. Times 10,000 naira chinda by 10 days. How much is minimum wage? How much? And you're still talking of health. Paracetamol is no more affordable. People that have health issues that has to be sustained with drugs cannot afford those drugs anymore. Should we go on and on? Mortality, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality. So tell me how the areas of the country that has gotten better.
You are going off the tangent.
I am not going off the tangent because politics and economy run side by side, because the people you vote in are the people that affect the policies. So don't tell me I'm going off the tangent. Just answer the question.
In your studio to I was not sent by the presidency to come and defend them. I am not even working for the presidency. I'm only being as realistic as I can be also. You talked about the removal of fuel subsidy. We have not even looked at it from the angle of what it was doing to Nigeria when there was subsidy.
Okay, go
ahead. What it was doing to the economy of Nigeria. We had the former minister, Okunjiwala, coming to tell Nigerians that if this thing is not killed, we'll get to a point where we cannot pay salary. Nobody is talking about that.
Right.
The last president continued to do that. Even before he left, his government had put a proposed date to end the fuel subsidy because he knew that will kill Nigeria. It's like Nigerians.
The proposed date was 2 months after inauguration.
Yeah, the only thing that's happened is that Tinubu came, and in his inaugural speech, he removed the fuel subsidy. He did not allow it to. He did not work in line with the time given by the government that he took over from. If not, the past government of Buhari knew it was difficult. Even with that, we were still having scarcity. These marketers were so powerful and all of that. That's on one side.
Do you actually believe fuel subsidy has been?
No, don't take me to that side. We are talking about realistic matter. We are seeing fuel scarcity here now. In Nigeria, it was difficult. Sometimes you don't see it. People queue up. Whatever happens behind the scene is not really my business.
Removal of fuel subsidy is entirely different from fuel scarcity. They are two different conversations.
No. What I'm trying to say is the removal of the fuel subsidy that is what we are discussing here. Yes, at the initial stage up till now, Nigerians are still groaning. Things are difficult for Nigerians, but like I said, the market forces at some point we make these things to be available for Nigerians at a rate that will be affordable to them. You talked about power.
No, you're still talking about fuel subsidy.
No, you got everything. I will address it the way I want to address it.
Are you sure that subsidy indeed has been removed? And you don't want to answer that?
Subsidy has been removed now. What are you saying? It has been removed. If you have any evidence, you bring it.
Subsidy means that removing subsidy means that the government will not pay the extra.
That is why the cost has gone up to that 1,018 naira you're talking about. And in some places, 900 and something naira.
1,018 naira.
In some places, somebody told me they bought 900 and something naira somewhere in River State. I bought 1,014 naira yesterday. The price fluctuations, these marketers, independent marketers, are the ones.
How much is the exchange rate of naira against the dollar?
That is, listen, let me respond to one before you get to the other.
George, go ahead.
What we are saying in essence is that the removal of fuel subsidy at the initial stage affected everything, including the prices of food. And like you said, the minimum wage did not go up immediately. So Nigerians were suffering. At some point, even the federal government listened and increased the minimum wage, which is still not...
Is it commensurate?
It's not. I'm coming. Okay. I said it's still not commensurate. It's a gradual thing that will get there. It's a gradual thing we'll get there. At least there's a step that we have understood that Nigerians are suffering. Let's increase the minimum wage. They have done that. This thing is not stagnant. Maybe in a few years' time again, they will do more. You look at the available resources before. Don't be looking at it as if this country, Nigeria doesn't have money. Nigeria is a poor nation. Nigeria is a poor nation. Nigeria doesn't have money. Nigeria doesn't have money the way you think.
Nigeria doesn't have money. One would say Nigeria doesn't have money when it comes to the masses, but Nigeria has money when it comes to the political class.
No. Even if you decide to say let's share this money, household by household, individual by individual, Nigeria still does not have money. Nigeria doesn't have money. And remember, whatever you're doing, you must also build infrastructure. That's the capital. There must be a capital project for the country, because without those capital projects, if you like, be paying people 1 million naira as minimum wage, the country will not develop if you don't build your capital project as infrastructure. So the government, no doubt, is doing their best. And I believe this is just barely 2 years, 1 year and some months. Let's allow them to finish this and see how far. At the end of their first tenure, we would have seen whether there is improvement or not. Coming to power, I was quite shocked that you did not give kudos to the government for the improvement in power. You just made it look like there was no power at all. No, that is not correct. You and I know.
Judge, from where I stay.
In the same place that I stay.
Well,
you cannot use isolated cases to judge. You cannot use that. There are areas that do have power supply. Not that the national grid at some point broke down. These are some.
How many times did it break down this year?
These are issues. The most important thing is that they are working on it. Even in those developed nations where you think they have 24 power supply, there comes a time when some of these things break down and they make an announcement to people, please give us some time. They fix it. These are natural issues that happen.
How many times did it break down this year?
When you keep asking me how many times.
Over 10 times. Make it make sense.
But they are working. They are working to fix it. Way? People could be sabotaging it. Are you aware of that?
No, educate me.
No, you're not aware that people could be sabotaging that.
I'm not aware of it. Huh? What Adelabu said was that the national grid, that they could not meet up the target because of vandalization. Is it, prior to this time, Haven't Nigerians been crying out about vandalization? Is vandalization
you are being economical with the truth when you did not give praises to the government for the improvement in power. We know where we were coming from. There was improvement in power. At some point, we were in the areas where we live. Some of us were having light up to 18 hours a day. When the national grid began to break down, the thing began to reduce. We understood. But the most important thing is that there was conscious effort to increase this. There's no nation in this world that will develop without power. Without power, you are doing nothing. You cannot be running on generator and expect to develop. The government is working. I'm not here to defend them, but let us be truthful to ourselves.
What is sustainable development?
I'm coming, you came up with an issue which I told you were going off the tangent, talking about women and this.
I will talk about it.
Tell me what you want the government to do, especially for women.
But before we go there, no. Don't say especially for women. I was giving you a real-time, realistic experience of the struggles
that women pass through.
Not just women. You are a man, I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure you bring food to the table. Of women pass through and how tough it is with the current reality. Now you are talking about power and how there was an improvement of probably a month.
That's far. Don't be economic.
George, what is the meaning of sustainable development, please?
Laurentia.
What's the meaning of sustainable development?
Listen, you're talking about sustainable development. These are conscious effort that the government is trying to put in place. Adelabu came to say there was vandalism, and if truly there was vandalism, it will affect that level of power that was being given. The most important thing is that the government did not just sit back to allow it like that. They went into work and began to fix one or two things. It is for the government to ensure that they beef up security around the national grid where criminals will not have...
So now after 10 times of the national grid collapsing on account of vandalization, after 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, over 10 times in a space of 1 year, we are still talking about beefing up security. We are yet to beef up security to counter vandalization of whatever equipment's interesting. Now, let's move over to what the president said, because I think that's where my interest is. More like telling Nigerians to ignore political regional distractions in politics and governance. Is it possible to ignore political regional issues when it comes to governance?
It is very possible if the politicians did not take advantage of religion, and whatever. The politicians are the ones, overheating this and taking advantage of it. The ordinary man in the streets of Sokoto and the ordinary man in the streets of Port Harcourt are not concerned with those things. What they want is, availability of things to live a life and do well in whatever they are doing. Not about, now some man they come out, now Igbo man they come out, now this one they come out. The elites are the ones that, use these things
to the masses
to divide our people. These are the issues. That is what the president is trying to, he's talking to the political class, not the ordinary people. Please eschew this thing, because if you continue with this thing, it will destroy our country. It still brings back to, the vandalism of the national grid and things like that, as was reported by Delabu. You understand? People still take advantage of it. How come it was when the issue of taxation,
yes, go ahead.
The taxation that the federal government wanted to come up with, it was that period that the vandalism happened almost in a month. It happened more than 2 or 3 times. And you're not asking, it's still based on this whole thing. Yes, the government have the security to secure whatever they have to secure. But the truth about it is that the Nigerian nation is polarized, it's divided along these ethnic lines, along this religious lines.
How are you linking collapse of national grid to tax reform?
Just sabotage. So sabotage the government to make sure that the government does not... Listen, if the power is not working and they are taxing you and things like that, and fuel, like you just said here, it costs a lot of money to buy PMS, to preserve whatever you have.
No, don't cite that example.
Wait. Now, what I'm saying is, as Nigerians, even me, I'm using my vehicle. I also have my generator at home. I feel the pains also. It's not as if I'm immune to this things.
You're immune.
No, I'm not even a government staff.
I am surprised that you're saying you're not immune.
No, I'm not. But I'm trying to let you know that these people if they are just docile and not doing anything, they will still be complaining. At the end of the day, maybe when the election comes, we say we are not voting for them. We need a new person. That's the highest we can do. We'll be complaining. But they are working, they are ensuring they are working, and the man is coming to, tell you that, I'm not defending him here. Nobody asked me to do that, but I'm just trying to be realistic, that the job is so enormous. It's not an easy job like that. It's not it's not something that you can just come and say, with the wave of hand, you fix Nigeria. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of decay and rot over the years. And gradually someone is coming to say, okay, coming up with policies to see how you can address. The pains will be there at the moment. Let's give him little time to see if there will be improvement. And if at the end of the 4 years, we are not even seeing any visible improvement, we can say, oh God, this magic way CARICOM did not work. You understand? But for now, we keep, So
you're saying the policies of the government is not going to be an overnight kind
no
of
government
result.
over the world can come up with a policy that will start immediately and begin to yield results.
Very well.
No, we have short term, medium term, and even the short term is not 1 year, it's not 2 months.
And you feel these policies are being politicized by people who feel they do not want the government to continue.
That is the nation that you live in. If you don't want to accept the reality, then you're on your own. That is the nation we live inside.
The question will be, what is the job of the National Orientation Agency?
That agency is long dead. That agency is long dead. In fact, they should just scrap it because I don't see what they are doing. The truth is that with the advent of social media
are people
today,
not receiving salaries from the
that agency? Is like I said, the agency is long dead. But if you decide to, remove that agency from, the government agency, and it's still Nigerians that will cry, oh, parents, Nigerians have been, removed from their job and things like that. But that agency is no longer active. Today, we are happy that with the advent of social media, Nigerians are more enlightened.
Is that not more why the government needs to resuscitate the National Orientation Agency so they can use these platforms to actually give Nigerians proper orientation and engage Nigerians on what's going on?
The truth about the matter is Nigerians are already opinionated about some of this.
Regardless of being opinionated, there is need for education.
It doesn't really matter the level of how many people we even accept this orientation. You will see people already, their mind are made up. Has
the government tried?
The government...
Now, doesn't that goes to show that it's a situation where whatever it is you Nigerians are feeling, it is what it is. The government will go ahead with what they want to do, deal with it. Just like Akpabio said, when the call for end bad governance increased, and he said, well, you want to protest, you can go ahead and protest, but we'll be eating and we'll be feasting in our house and watching. If the Nigerian citizen, the government is so concerned about how Nigerian citizens think, and they are so concerned about the vote of the Nigerian masses, don't you think it's time for the government now to embark on rigorous orientation, whether Nigerians take it or not? Let it be that they did their part. Don't you agree?
Listen, I am quite sure that the government is doing, even the National Orientation Agency you're talking about, I don't think you even have a link to their website or to whatever handle, social media handle. I don't think you have.
Their state director comes on my show.
They might be doing something, but they are so insignificant to Nigerians that people do not even want to listen to what they are doing. We have other media platforms that give us information. Social media on daily basis, people get to know what is happening. So nobody cares about, they have been dwarfed. They have been overtaken. So irrespective of what they come to do today, people don't regard that as anything. That's the angle I want you to know.
When you talk about social media, the question now boils down to source of information.
I agree with you.
It is one thing that, someone with ethnic, religious, or political inclination or bias is churning out information from a certain prism, like the president said. And it's different from when the government is coming out to tell Nigerians, this is what it is. So when Nigerians are reacting, they are reacting based on what the government has said. And again, when people come out to give information, now the National Orientation Agency can come out to make clarifications and give proper orientation.
You are speaking as someone who is in the media. I am telling you as someone who is in the field that Nigerians would not even care what the National Orientation Agency comes to say.
They've lost
even this
trust.
is so shocking that even educated people who begin to live in Nigeria, forget them, what are they saying?
Right.
That is the pessimism in us as a people. So in all of this, what I'm trying to let you know is that not even you, Chioma Laurentia, if you are made the president today, that will solve the Nigeria's problem in 4 years. This thing has become so huge that anybody that comes here will take time to put things in place.
All right.
And those things cannot just happen overnight. Let's give the president, we can see that he's coming up with some policies. It was quite tough when he removed fuel subsidy. But today, things are normalizing.
All right, thank you so much, George, for coming on Open Conversation.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much, our viewers, for always staying connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials: Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network; Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1; and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Laurentia Ugu. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability